right. Good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Wednesday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about weather-wise, and as always, before we even get into that, I just want to give ourselves a huge round of applause because it is Wednesday evening, meaning we have made it halfway through the work week. Yes, halfway through, and for the most part, looking like so far it's been a great week, and we'll see if that continues. Now, let's go on and see what is on tap. Well, on tap for tonight, which I know I had the screen up, um, what's on tap for tonight as it's showing up in just a second. One of the things was obviously as those mostly dry conditions continue to prevail, especially under the strong high pressure that we have. Also, temperatures run near or slightly below normal through mid to late week. Elevated fire concerns continue even through the weekend, and then also temperatures begin to gradually warm up as we get towards the end of the work week and even into the weekend. So, a lot of stuff is happening and a lot of stuff will continue to happen, especially as we get into this weekend. And it's not only just due to the temperatures and the fire concerns. We have some beach weather to look at, some dangerous beach weather to go on as well. And we're going to get into all of that. If you have not hit the like button yet, go on to do so. Right now we have around a good 6 people watching and only 5 likes, so go and hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button. We're at 726, trying to get to 800. And share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't even talk to regularly because it is free. It is free. I will not take a single dime from you. I will not take a single penny from you. Everything is going to be free. So let's go on and look at our current conditions right now. So this is currently what's going on throughout the state of South Carolina. Well, right now, nice and dry. No precipitation is going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina. But if we scroll our way out, because there's always something going on throughout the U.S. There's always just nothing. There's always never just nothing happening. There's always something going on. We have some rainfall going on in Florida, going on in Georgia. We have some rainfall in Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, rainfall in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas. Some severe weather. Yes, we have a severe thunderstorm warning over here in California, that being for a quarter-sized hail. Some rainfall going on in California. Nevada has some, as well as the Four Corners area. Look up here in the Northwest, the Northern Rockies, drying. Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, Carolinas, dry. Ohio Valley, dry. So in terms of cloud cover, we do in fact have some cloud cover going on right now. Cloud cover throughout the upstate, throughout the PD areas, throughout the Grand Strand areas. Low country, I can see some, but it's not a whole lot. Midlands, probably the area with the least amount of cloud cover right now, but there is still some cloud cover going on throughout the Midlands. And if we go on to look at that cloud cover for the future, as we go on and push through tonight, this goes all the way to 12 o'clock in the morning, moving through to 4, 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you can see how we're completely getting clouded up by the time we get into tomorrow morning. We get into around 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock p.m., noon here. We have some cloud cover really starting to get going, especially in the upstate, but you do see some clear spots going on from the low country over into the Grand Strand areas. And if we continue all the way through to around Thursday, going into around Thursday evening, Thursday night, going into Friday morning, and here we are, 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday. No cloud cover throughout the state, completely clear. And then as we move into Friday afternoon, continuing just to look completely clear. Now for our temperatures for right now, current, 52 in Somerville, as well as 56 in Charleston, 58 Beaufort, and 59 in Hilton Island, 53 Orangeburg, and 55 in Georgetown, 56 Murrells Inlet, as well as Myrtle Beach, 52 Conway, and 53 in Sumter, 55 Columbia, and 56 in Aiken, 53 Hartsville, Lugoff, and even 52 in Bennettsville, Newberry, 52 Lawrence, and 56 in Clemson and Anderson, 53 Greenwood, and 54 Greenville, 52 in Spartanburg, as well as 51 in Gaffney, Rock Hill, and Lancaster. Now for your air quality, it does look like that we are going to the majority of us at least is going to stay in the good category. There are like a couple of spots maybe near Charleston, over there just to the east of Charleston, over into like Allendale, McClellanville, Isle of Palms. That'll be in the moderate in terms of our U.S. air quality index, and up there in the very far upstate, Anderson's included, going near Star, Pendleton, Clemson. Those areas up there, moderate risk as well. Not the worst, but if you are going outside as going to tonight, just make sure that you are aware, especially if you're out there for a long period of time. Now for our low temperatures for tonight, we have around 40 in Spartanburg, 38 Rock Hill, as well as 42 in Greenville, 42 in Anderson, as well as 42 in Aiken, 42 Barnwell, as well as Orangeburg, 44 Walterboro, and 43 in Moncks Corner, 50 Charleston, and 54 in Hilton Head Island, 44 Georgetown, and 45 inside of Myrtle Beach. Now for your high temperatures for tomorrow, 69 Greenville, 68 Spartanburg, as well as 68 in Rock Hill, 70 Anderson, and 68 in Lawrence, 69 Newburgh, and 70 in Greenwood, 72 in Columbia and Aiken, as well as Orangeburg, Barnwell, 71 in Sumter, and 70 in Florence, 72 in Kingstree, and 73 in Moncks Corner, Walterboro, 70 Charleston, Georgetown, 67 inside of Myrtle Beach, and 71 over inside of Hilton Head Island. Rainfall as we move throughout the next 24 hours, not expected at this time. No rain gear is needed. You can leave all of the umbrellas, the boots, the raincoats, whatever it is, leave all of them at home because you will not need them for rainfall. And now for the crazy score. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how active the conditions are throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And right now we are at an 11. Why? Well, we do have some parting in terms of clouds. Obviously, we showed that. And for the most part, you are seeing cloudy conditions really starting to kind of stay clear as we go throughout parts of tonight. But then as you get into tomorrow, it could start to kind of peak out a little bit. Also, cool overnight lows, light winds, dry conditions, humidity dry as well. So it's overall just looking like it's going to be a pretty nice night overall, keeping us inside that calm category and bringing us to that 11 in the calm category. No significant weather in general. Now for thunderstorm activity tonight, tomorrow, Friday, not expected at this time. And then in terms of fire weather, we obviously had this one for today, but for the most part, probably not necessarily completely done, but for right now, the gusty winds have kind of subsided. Because if you went on and looked at the wind gusts from earlier today, we were looking at those wind gusts up to around 30, 35 miles per hour. If you were here this morning, I talked about it and how those gusts could potentially be up pretty high. And now, obviously, they've died down a lot more, bringing that threat for that fire weather down significantly. And so, honestly, it's looking like that the fire risk obviously is subsiding. But we will still have, like a little minor fire risk as we continue throughout, all the way throughout to the weekend as dry air continues to stay. And obviously no precipitation. That also adds into the fact of that fire weather as well. Now, if we go and look at excessive rainfall, that's not expected at this time. So we are indeed good here. So let's go on and look at the models. Let's go on and look at the models. We are going to, right now, go on and look at it with the time at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you are paying attention to that because it is pretty important to go on and look at. But we start off here at 9 p.m. We go on and just push this forward all the way through to around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8, 9. I mean, in the morning tomorrow, you're just seeing no precipitation at all. And if somehow a little drizzle does somehow manage to make it towards the coast, because you can see these coastal showers right here, it's not going to provide enough rainfall for enough accumulation for some rainfall. So that goes all the way through Thursday, going into Friday. And then by the time you get into around Friday morning, going into Friday afternoon, just continuing to stay dry. So with the short term out the way, what about the long term? we're going to start off here at 2 p.m. on Friday. And I do want to go back to the short term actually just for one thing, but we'll get back to that in just a second. But if we go in and push this forward, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend, looking very nice this weekend as of now. We'll see how things change. But for right now, things are looking pretty nice on Saturday and Sunday. So weekend's looking good. The beginning of next week looks good. The middle part of next week looks good. It's not really until we get into around Friday to where things may start to take a turn with maybe some rainfall in the upstate. But after that, I don't see anything else. Maybe some more rainfall near the coastal areas again by the end parts of next week. But then as we get into Saturday, Sunday, what do you see? Absolutely nothing. Nice and dry. We get into the week after next week, going into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, even Friday, and you do not see anything. So I will say this. This week, we were expecting to see a good amount of rainfall according to some of the models. They have since downtrended. And if we go on and look at the forecast real quick from the actual Weather Prediction Center, and we're going to take, just our time with this and move down towards the south and east. This is for 24 hours. Okay? What about the next 7 days? Nothing. You do not see a single drop, not a single drop of precipitation for the next 7 days throughout the state of South Carolina. Not a single drop. Meaning, when I say that, I mean at least 1/100 of an inch or greater. Now, this is not what we want to see. Remember, the drought monitor comes out tomorrow. Make sure if you want to go in and participate in that you're there for that. But not seeing a single drop of rainfall throughout the next 7 days, that's going to be a pretty big problem. That's going to be a pretty big problem, especially, not like I said, not only for fire risk, but for this drought. This drought is going to continue to expand, and it's not going to let up anytime soon, especially with just how we just saw no rainfall, no significant rainfall is expected as we continue throughout the next 400 hours. Yeah, that's not going to be the best at all. And so for the people who really do want that rainfall because they are, struggling with rainfall, they have plants, they have crops, they have stuff like that, the relief isn't going to come anytime soon. And so you're just going to have to continue to go on and just hope for this rainfall and hope that something changes with the models as we go into tomorrow, as we go into the day after, or maybe you get that little isolated random shower that pops up out of nowhere that the models didn't cover or anything like that. If you really do need it, let's hope that does happen. But for the next 48 hours, we just saw for the short term, no rainfall. And if we go on and look at the long term and look at the entire 300 to 400 hours or so, how much rainfall we're going to see, the only area that has accumulable precipitation is over here, down here near Myrtle Beach. I mean, you see also over here inside of the very far PD areas, you see some accumulation over there. And even if you go on and look at parts of the low country, you see like some little areas, of 1/100 of an inch or so throughout the next 300 to 400 hours. But this is not going to help the drought at all. It's not going to. It's not going to. We need to see beneficial, just extremely beneficial rainfall of up to an inch. So that's why I said earlier this weekend, I said, please hope that you get that rainfall last weekend, because if you did, that's a good amount of rainfall. I got an inch at my house, inch of rainfall at my house on Sunday alone, and so that definitely prevented just our drought to really go on and really get bad. And it gave us an extra inch to go on and kind of like subside things maybe just a little bit. But obviously not everybody got that. And so that's why I said, hopefully you got rainfall last weekend, because that definitely could go on and help out and not make the drought as bad as, worst case scenario type. But even if we go on and look at the ensembles as well, because this is obviously just a deterministic, the ensembles as we go throughout the next, I'd say honestly, like the next 400 hours or so, and we're going to look at the total. For the most part, the ensembles have this idea. They have this idea that as we go throughout the next 400 hours that we could potentially see an inch of rainfall. Remember, the model that I just showed you was a deterministic. A deterministic is one model run. That's it. The ensembles, this is a more average of models. It takes about 50 members or so, 50 models, 50 members of a model, puts it together, and this is the result. Every member has at least something that's a little bit tweaked with it. And so once it tweaks it, it kind of produces all different types of runs. And so this is what the ensemble is. And it's showing a good amount of rainfall. So hopefully the ensemble is right here. But it doesn't really bring that huge amount of precipitation until not the end of the week, not early next week, not middle, but somewhere close to the end of the week next week is when it really starts to bring that precipitation. So even if we do go throughout the next 7 days, what do you see? Nothing, pretty much. 100th of an inch, maybe 500ths of an inch, something like that. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that. Fire conditions will continue. Obviously, we will continue to see, if we do see any breezy conditions, that definitely will cause for some fire concerns. But I think that's all I have to say in terms of the rainfall. I mean, we're just going to have to continue to look at that and just continue to go on and hope for this rainfall. But for right now, nothing we can really do about it right now. Now, as we go on and look at our temperatures, we go on and push this forward. And one thing that you do see is that we are continuing to stay cool, not only as we get into around tomorrow and Friday, but as we get into Saturday, things may be trying to warm back up a little bit. I mean, we're around 10 degrees above average on Saturday. We go into Sunday, back to, somewhere close to 10 degrees above average. And even if you get into Monday, going into Tuesday, Wednesday, not only is this rainfall just non-existent, but temperatures are jacking back up. And so not only is that going to, if we had dry conditions but cooler temperatures, it would be like, okay, that might be a little bit manageable. But you start getting temperatures up, especially with the threat of a potential 90 coming in next week, or a first 90s of the season potentially coming in as we go into next week, that also adds on. We go through Wednesday, we go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, continuing just to stay warm. 20 degrees above average by the time we get to the end of next week. Even as we go into the week after. We were talking about maybe some cooler air trying to push in as we went into not this weekend, but the weekend after. That cold air is like gone. I don't know where it went. It's just off the models now. And so warm weather fans definitely are happy about that. Definitely happy to see that. Now, if we go on and look at our actual temperature, so this is not just anomalies showing us, oh, is it above average? Oh, is it below average? No, this is actually telling us the exact temperatures. If we move all the way to Thursday, Friday, obviously we're getting back up into the 70s. We go into Saturday, 70s. Even as we go into Sunday, this is, let's see, going into around 80, 82, 83, 84, 85. Monday comes along, we get into around 80s as well. Tuesday, 85, 86, 87. Wednesday of next week, still trying to get into the 80s a little bit. And then as we continue throughout, you're seeing higher and higher 80s until one day you look, and what does that say? Hold on. Right here, 90 degrees. So 90 degrees is definitely a possibility as we go into next week, especially as you get into the middle to the late parts of next week. Definitely is possible. And then even as you look into Saturday of next weekend, potentially a nice and hot weekend. We're going to Sunday, 90s, like mid 90s. Now, I know it's a long way away. I know. I shouldn't be really talking about specifics. But if this does happen, I mean, what is that? You even seeing 100 down there in Georgia. You seeing 100 down there in Georgia. So, I mean, and that's without even heat index values. Heat index values will bring those temperatures up even hotter. You're talking about, what is that? Is that a higher 90, 97? I don't see anything else higher than that. I only see 97. What if we include heat index values to it, though? Heat index values bring those temperatures up not really much. Not much. I guess it's not going to be too humid during that time frame. Let me check and see. Yeah, well, actually, it's going to be pretty moist. Relative humidity is going to be... but there it is. Relative humidity is down, and it's, like, down to the 20s, so... It's going to be like that, like, kind of like that dry heat. Not really like that moist heat to where, it feels like 110 degrees outside. It's going to be like that dry heat. But, anyways, that covers that. For the most part, just get ready. If you are a cool weather fan, I'm so sorry, but it's not going to seem like that cool air that we had yesterday. It's definitely not going to. It's definitely went away, which means it's like a lesser chance of happening now at this point. But I think that's all that I have to say here in terms of the temperatures, and in terms of precipitation. Just continuing just to show you how it's just going to continue to stay dry throughout the days, though. That will aid into that fire weather threat here Saturday, 2 p.m. Here Sunday, it's just staying in that dry zone throughout the daytime. So let's go on now and look at one more thing before we get to the audience. I want to just touch on this. We're not going to be on this for too long. That's the rip currents as well. There are gale warnings out from the National Weather Service at Charleston. It says small craft advisories are also expected as we go into tomorrow. 7 to 6 feet. Waves are over there on Wednesday today, and then 7 to 14 feet on Thursday. Winds are going to be northeast, 25 to 35, I'm guessing in knots, and then gusts of up to 40 knots. Wind and wave conditions will be hazardous for small craft. Inexperienced mariners, especially those operating smaller vessels, should avoid navigating just at all along the coastal areas as we get into today, going into tomorrow. And so the risk of rip currents are also high as well. If you're caught in a rip current, swim along the shoreline, not directly into the shore. Once free of the current's pull, swim at an angle away from the current towards the shore, and then if needed, tread water and wait or call for help. But pretty much, it's saying, the National Weather Service of Wilmington kind of put it in a better perspective. Everyone should stay out the water. That's pretty much what they're saying, because there is a high risk of rip currents by the time you get into today going into tomorrow. And that goes all the way from North Myrtle Beach all the way down to Myrtle Beach, Surfside Beach, Litchfield Beach, Pawleys Island, all the way down into the Charleston area, down all the way down into the southeast Georgia coast. So just keep that in mind if you are, or if you know somebody who is going to the beaches tomorrow. Just keep that in mind. And that's all I have to say here in terms of the rip current risk. So let's go on and talk with the audience. We go on and talk with the audience every time, usually after we're done talking about the long-term future. So we're going to go on and talk with the audience right now, and I just soft-locked myself into the screen. Maybe if I go on and do this real quick. Live audience. Okay, yeah, that might just have to work. I think I locked myself over here inside of the screen for some reason. But, anyways, for the most part, let's go and scroll our way up. My name says hello, Jay. Hello to you. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. I hope y'all had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for asking. And then Maya Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Then as we continue our way down, Maya Lewis says, I pray that everyone had a blessed day. Well, thank you so much for that. And then my Nana says, a very chilly day today. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Then Mr. Chris says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free and it helps the channel grow. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Right now, like I said, we have around a good couple of people watching and only 8 likes. So if you're part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. And not only you, but also the other person will not have to pay a dime, and you can share as much as you want. You can share as much as you want. There we go. It finally freed itself. Continue our way down. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris also says, got to around 64 degrees here. Currently, it's around 58. And then Mount Lewis says, today in Georgetown, the high was around 62. Currently, it's around 54. Well, at my house right now, let me go on and check it out. It's around a good 55 right now currently. High temperature today was 67. Now, as we continue our way down, my nose says a nice windy, sunny, off and on type of day today, which makes sense. Miss Chris says, just rechecked, it's now 56. Mount Lewis says today in Georgetown it was windy. Same here in Moncks Corner, this wind was cold. Mount Lewis says didn't spend too much time outside but stayed in most of the day. And then Thad says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 weather family. I hope all is well with everyone. It was an amazing day here in San Antonio. Clear skies and beautiful sun. We enjoyed a high of around 80 degrees. Currently 74 degrees and clear skies as well. Mount Lewis says, I'm looking forward to the weekend, absolutely. And then Thad says, I would love to have some rain come through. Got my first lily of the season today, and the passion fruit tree has been benefited from this beautiful weather, and it's producing fruit already. Well, seems like you have a lot of good stuff coming through right now, and honestly, for this time of year, it does make sense. I mean, you're getting high temperatures, for example, tomorrow, 82. So those temperatures are going to continue, and we're going to talk about the temperatures, but, I've been talking about those temperatures and how they will evolve as we continue throughout the weekend. But we'll talk about it again tonight. That also says the lemon and lime trees are basking in the glow of this mildly warm climate and has already started showing fruit. Well, if you do have some pictures of it, by the way, go on and send that in. We will go on and show it. Continue our way down. Mount Lewis says no one tried to burn today. The wind was too high. Well, glad to hear that. I'm so ready for the warmer weather in Georgetown. I know we needed some rain, but hopefully it will give me time to change my windshield wipers. Yeah, honestly, in terms of the rainfall, I mean, you'll have more than enough time going as all the way, not only into this weekend, but also potentially all the way through into next week, midweek, end of the week next week. So you have a long time. We did get a good shower last week. That says we are supposed to get rain every day for the rest of the week. Well, that's a great way to go ahead and rub it in that y'all are going to go in and get some rainfall. I'm just playing. I'm just joking. But yeah, I am glad that y'all are at least getting some rainfall. Y'all are inside of a drought too, so y'all definitely do need it. Definitely, y'all need it as well. Continue our way down. As Chris said, they poured here in Moncks Corner on Sunday. I'm not going to complain because we surely do need some. Yeah, exactly. Then my list says, nephew, do you think we can say goodbye to cold weather next week? I'm not. I mean, in terms of when cold weather leaves, I mean it really just does depend on the time of year and what's going on in terms of cold fronts and all that kind of stuff. But usually we don't really start to see those cold temperatures go away, end of April, going into like the parts of May, going into maybe even as late as the end of May. So, I mean, to be honest, it could really stay with us, for as long as it really wants to. But, I think once we really get to like middle, end part of May or early part of June, obviously, that's when we really are done with those 40s, those 50s. At least are trying to be done with those 40s and 50s. But for right now, honestly, I can't say exactly if we're going to be done with cold weather. I can't answer that exactly. While now we're talking about close to 100 degrees, absolutely. That sounds good. Hopefully not too hot. That says, yeah, not too hot. I'm hoping for a mild summer here in San Antonio. We've been burning up here the last few years. The heat is crucial. Milo says getting in the water is not something I want to worry about. Riptides, and I'm ready to start planning. Well, yeah, there is still that risk out there for rip currents throughout the coast as we go into obviously tonight, tomorrow. So I wouldn't. I just honestly would say just stay out of the water. Just don't get back into it until it's obviously time and it's ready to. And it's at calm, I should say. Not really when it's ready, but when it's calm, go back into it. But that's all that I have to say here throughout the chat. I mean, I don't see anything else. We had a pretty big chat tonight, so I do appreciate everyone that did type. But we're going to go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas, what am I talking about? I'm still talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. Starting off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight, 64. High temperatures for tomorrow, 82. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. Precipitation, not expected until tomorrow. Tomorrow night, chance of thunderstorms. Now, as you go into your severe weather, you do have a chance for severe weather. You know, you were saying, oh, well, we have rainfall as we continue throughout the rest of this weekend and all that kind of stuff. Well, with that comes a chance of severe weather. Sunday, April the 12th, 2026, you have a slight risk of severe weather for a 15 to a 29% chance of severe weather on Sunday. So make sure you're aware of it. Make sure that you are prepared. Make sure that you have your severe weather stuff in place just in case if worse comes to worse. And know that it is going to be on Sunday. Now, for your future, I mean, it does look like that you are going to kind of just stay in the 80s. Stay in the 80s all the way throughout into Sunday. Then Monday comes along still. Tuesday still. Wednesday still. Looking like you're still going to have a 40% chance of showers and storms here for Wednesday. So I do think that, yes, you were right. It's still going to be active for you. Still going to be active. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 38. High temperatures for tomorrow at 67. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 42. Precipitation, not expected. In fact, as you go throughout the next 7 days, you're rain-free. So you're good there. In terms of severe weather and excessive rainfall, not expected. And then in terms of temperatures are going to continue to rise up as we go all the way into Saturday. And also into Sunday, we're going to continue to stay in the 80s. And then potentially, I know we were talking about the 90s over for South Carolina, but guess what? The National Weather Service agrees. It has your high temperature on Wednesday being 91. So 90s are potentially coming. 90s are coming. So make sure you're aware of that. Not only obviously North Carolina, but down here in South Carolina as well. For Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 32, high temperatures for tomorrow at 61, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 39. Precipitation, not expected at this time. In terms of severe weather, excessive rainfall, not expected. And then for your temperatures are going to kind of stay more in the 60s and maybe a 70 on Friday, but stay in the 60s. But then Monday, it's going to take a humongous jump. I mean, we're talking Monday 80, Tuesday 88, Wednesday 88. I mean, Philadelphia might reach 90 next week. Possibly. It definitely is possible. And then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 54, high temperature for tomorrow at 81, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 59. Precipitation not expected until around Saturday. You have a 30% chance of thunderstorms. Saturday night, 80%. Sunday, 70%. So you're going to kind of just stay in that, kind of just stay active as you go into this weekend, going even into next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, staying there. Now, one thing for Duncan, though, Duncan will not be up into the 90s. Instead, you'll probably max out around like the mid-80s on Monday, potentially. And then you're going to kind of just stay in that 80 and 70 range, though, as you go all the way into next week. And not only for you, but you have a bunch, and when I say a bunch, I mean a bunch of severe weather to talk about for you, as on Sunday, April the 12th, you have a slight risk of severe weather. On Monday, April the 13th, you have a slight risk of severe weather. On Tuesday, April the 14th, you have a slight risk of severe weather. So, severe weather for you is in full swing as you go into the beginning parts of next week. Now, excessive rainfall is also going to be full swinging. Saturday going into Sunday morning, isolated flash flooding is possible. Sunday going into Monday morning, isolated flash flooding is possible. So make sure that you are aware. Make sure you have your severe weather plans in place, flooding plans in place if you're in a flood-prone area, as this will potentially be a pretty big system to track. And, you know, I know a lot of big-time meteorologists are already talking about it for next week, because next week it looks like a full-on severe weather train is going to be going on all the way, not only throughout Oklahoma, obviously, but throughout Texas. And let's go in and look at that right now. Let's go in and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise, as we have tomorrow, severe weather from Topeka, Kansas to St. Joseph, Missouri to Salina, Kansas to Kansas City to Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri. So I mean, we're looking at all of this throughout tomorrow, and then day three, slight margin risk of severe weather for Tulsa, Wichita, Springfield, Missouri, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and then day four, that being on Saturday, Western Texas, Western Oklahoma, Lubbock, Odessa, Texas, Midland, Texas, Abilene, Texas. Going to day five, that's Sunday. Dallas is included, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Austin, Northern San Antonio, Tulsa. Day six, that's Monday. That's from Dallas, continuing going all the way through Des Moines, through Kansas City, through Jefferson City, through Springfield, Missouri, through Oklahoma City. All of these areas for day six, and that's for Monday. Day seven, Tuesday, Dallas again, Fort Worth again, Arlington, Texas, St. Louis, going through Little Rock, going through St. Louis as well. So all of these areas are continuing to see just more and more severe weather, just like a severe weather train. So that's why there's going to be a lot of people talking about next week. A lot of weather coverage is going to be going on next week. So just make sure that if you know anybody in those areas, let them know. Say, hey, there is severe weather that is on the way, and make sure that they are safe so that we don't have any sort of injuries or anything like that. Make sure everybody's prepared for it. But that's all I have to say in terms of the severe weather. There also is a storm system that's expected to bring strong winds, widespread heavy rainfall, and flooding concerns to the Hawaiian Islands through the weekend. So that's also going to be ongoing. Frost, freezing conditions all the way throughout the mid-Atlantic. Fire conditions continue throughout Georgia. Even some winter storm watch. Yes, a winter storm watch over there inside of California, up there in the mountains. 12 to 28 inches with a gust of up to 40 miles per hour. And hear me out. If you're on the mountains up there in California, 80 to 100 mile per hour wind gust over there. So, obviously it's up on a mountaintop, so we shouldn't be that shocked. But still, 80 to 100 miles per hour on top of the highest peaks, that's a lot. That's a good amount. A real good amount. But that's pretty much all they have to say here in terms of the entire U.S. So let's see what's going on throughout the chat real quick. My cousin Cheryl says, good job to the weatherman. You're doing so well. I'm proud of you. Love you, all of you. Be blessed on purpose. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm back. Well, I'm glad, at least I am, glad to see that you are back, and the majority of us most likely are as well. And then Mr. Chris also said, everyone, please remember to stay safe, warm, and hydrated. Absolutely. And that's all I have to say here for tonight. So remember, if you've not hit the like button yet, go ahead and do so. Hit the subscribe button as well. We are right now at 22 people that have tuned in, and we only have 8 likes. So if you're a part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, the group of 14, if I had my track of the people gasping, I would go on and play that right now, but I don't have it right now. If you're a part of the group of 14 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. It's free. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do, really, is just go on and hit the button. You just need to have an account. That's all you need to have. You just need to have an account. And that says, wow, 14. Yes, 14 people have not hit the like button yet. So, yeah, Mr. Chris, it is. But I just honestly, it's free. It doesn't cause any sort of pain. It doesn't cause any sort of lost in time, and it helps me out. It helps get information out to the people who definitely do need it. So go on and hit it, and then also share. Like I said, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to regularly. Again, it's free. And I think that's all that I have to say here for tonight. So we've been here, long enough. And make sure, again, you do all that. I will be back tomorrow morning for your Thursday morning forecast update. Also, go on and be back tomorrow evening as well. Drought Monitor will be out tomorrow. Can't wait for those predictions. The poll will be out as soon as the stream starts. And that's all that I have. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow and hit those two buttons before you leave.